Today we will reflect on ST 47.3b. That is the Sappurisa Sikkhā Sutta, the discourse on the training steps of the true individual, or if you like, the true individual's practice of the steps of training. Sikkhā can also mean training rules, but the word steps is very helpful here. It means it's a gradual building up of our wisdom and proficiency and spirituality. And this is from A 4.201, Anguttara Nikaya Sutta number 41. The five precepts are the most basic practice in Buddhism for all Buddhist lay people as well as monastic. Of course, in the case of monastics, the rules are more complicated, more detailed. The keeping of rules here is not a ritual. These rules are like what defines Buddhism. It's just like the rules of football define football. If you don't follow the rule, it's not football. Then you won't enjoy the game, right? So, in other words, if you really want to live a happy life, then it is very wise that we keep to the five precepts. Now the question is, why are the five precepts chosen? Why did the Buddha put together these five guiding principles? That's what they are. They're not commandments, they are guiding principles. And that gives us the first hint. The five precepts, the five vital points, very important points, are those habits that we have that are likely to be negative. In other words, we are likely to break these precepts, and this is not going to make us happy. So these five precepts, in other words, are guiding principles on how to be happy. So they're not about about keeping to rules. Rather, they're about five important values that we should understand in life. What are the really important things about life? And there are five such principles or values, if you like. The word value is very helpful here because it represents something that is precious to us. So we begin with a very simple way, question and answer, Socratic way or Buddha way, if you like. What is the most important thing, what's the most precious thing that we all have, that we all share, that we all value? The simplest answer would be life, our life. Because without life we will not be here. We will not be talking, there will be nothing. So the most basic thing of value to us is our life itself. In that sense, Buddhism, early Buddhism, is life-based. It's more than man-based, it's more than human-based. It's definitely not God-centered, but it's life-based, meaning we should respect life, because to respect life means to take life as it is and to begin that. So if we destroy life, then we are preventing this natural flow of energy. To prevent life means to kill someone else. And we have no right to do that because we did not create this life. Yeah, we may say parents, male, female, bring life into the world, but they have no right to kill, because although they bring life into the world, that life is not really their creation. They put together merely physical aspects of life, and then there is this consciousness that comes along and gives life to this zygote, or to this cells, human cells, if you like. So human life is precious because we can use this life to become better. Now, but before we can do that, we need very basic support of life. It's very well known in Buddhist teachings. We have 4 basic supports of life, right? That is food, clothing, shelter, and health. So, in other words, as lay people, we work to get these 4 supports of life. Right? Beyond that would be regarded as something extra. Okay? In other words, if you have these 4 things, you can be quite happy. You can regard it yourself even as being quite progressive. But of course, it's good to have something more that we can share with others. We can help others who are not so fortunate. But if we are to take away these 4 supports, in other words, we take away what belongs to others because they work for it, that will not be fair to them. That will make them feel rather troubled because they work for it and they lost this thing, their property. Or even then, it's not right for us to simply take what is not given, in other words. Right? So taking what is not given is stealing. This is the second precept. Because this is called the value of happiness. The value of happiness means we work hard, we get paid, we use our income to buy these basic things that we need, buy some extra things that we would like to enjoy, and we have the right to do so, the natural inclination to do so. So if someone were to take this away from us, that would not be fair. Not fair means not dharma. So, in other words, if everybody simply took away what they wanted, then people will stop working, there will be no order, there will be no peace and progress in society. Now the third value is that of our person. Now you have number 1 value of life, number 2 value of happiness or property. Number 3 is the value of our person. Value and respect can go together here. Value is what we uphold in our minds and hearts, and respect is what we show in practical terms. So we have to respect a person's body, living body, even a dead body, we respect them, because this represents freedom. In order to really progress, to live happily, to enjoy the things that we have worked for justly and wisely and diligently in life, is to have freedom of movement, of action, of speech, and so on. Right? So this third aspect specifically refers to sexual misconduct, non-violation of the body, in other words. Because if someone is sexually violated, a lot of problems can arise. There is possibility of emotional hurt, disease, unwanted pregnancy, things like that. And that's going to create a lot of issues. In fact, even violence against another person in any way will bring unhappiness to both sides. So this third aspect, very simply put, is the value of the person, the value of freedom of the person. Now the fourth value is quite simple enough. It's the value of truth. Because all these four values are meaningful only if they are true and we all agree that they are true and of value to all of us. So this is the fourth aspect, which is a bit more abstract, if you like. And the fifth precept is something extra. So all these four precepts deal with the body and speech. Okay? Of course, the speech aspect here also means truth in the sense of communication. We need truth so that we can communicate effectively. The fifth precept deals with the mind. The fifth precept is about not taking any kinds of intoxicants and addictives that will cloud up our mind, that will inebriate us, that will make us feel woozy and not able to control our minds. Because we need to keep our minds calm and clear so that we can think clearly, we can solve problems, we can be creative, we can understand truth, we can create beauty. So this aspect is very important, the mental aspect in other words. But it's still within the precept, keeping the body pure, so to speak. Because here, when we take in intoxicants and addicts, it's through the body and it affects the mind. So for that reason, this precept is put as number 5. These are the 5 basic things that we tend to forget, and then we kind of, break the precepts, and that causes suffering. So here, it's not that when we break any of these precepts, we are in trouble and we are going to go to hell for it. Of course, if you habitually break the 5 precepts, and you must really have this very negative mind, which will, because of your own habit, bring you into suffering states in this life itself. We don't have to wait the next life, but in this life itself, you might feel the pain of that negative karma. These actions are wrong because the mind that breaks the precepts is always a negative mind, rooted in either greed, hate, or delusion. So those precepts that we break, say killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, or getting drunk, are like red lights warning us something's wrong, right? So if you've broken the precept, at the time of breaking the precept, you find somehow you're not very mindful. It's a deliberate act, but you're not really in control of yourself. Or you're in control of yourself in a negative way. You're pushed, motivated by greed, hate, delusion. You can include number 4, fear. So what we do is, in terms of steps of training, Sikkhā, whenever we have broken the precept, or at certain times in our life, once a day, once a week, or once in a while at least, is to look back. Why did I break the precepts? What are the conditions that came together that made me break this precept? And we reflect on that. Once we understand the conditions that make us break the precept, that weaken us, then we work towards correcting those conditions. So this is what it's about, right? So the second aspect is mental training, where we use our minds to understand where our weaknesses are. So this sutta talks about precepts, so it will be quite sufficient to stop there for the moment about the 5 precepts. So what does the sutta say about the 5 precepts? Here, the structure is very similar to the Sappurisa Sutta 2, where the Buddha speaks of 4 kinds of people. It says that there is the person who is true, and then the one who's more true, the one who's false, the one who's more false, that kind of structure. Okay? But the key teaching here is the precept. So let's look at this, a very short, simple, and very important sutta for our practice. The translation is on page 52. Now, of course, if you have new editions, the pages may vary, but here the translation title is The Discourse on the Training Steps of the True Individual, A 4.201. Bhikshus, I will teach or show you the false person and the one more false than the false person. And I will show you the true individual and the one more true than the true individual. Listen to it, pay close attention, I will speak. So here you notice the Buddha is teaching unprompted. He feels that it's the right time for him to talk about this to the audience. And the audience say, yes, Bhante, the Blessed One said this. And what bhikshus is a false person, Sappurisa. Here bhikshus, a certain person destroys life, takes the not given, commits sexual misconduct, speaks falsehood, and takes strong drink, distilled drinks, fermented drinks, which cause heedlessness. Okay, here we have the 5 precepts, right? So, if you like, you can take this as a kind of locus classicals, the location of the 5 precepts. Sometimes people may ask us, in what sutta did the Buddha talk about the 5 precepts? This is one of them, right? The Sappurisa, Sikkhā Sutta A4.201. So, those who practice 5 precepts, says the Buddha, these bhikshus is called a false person, right? Someone who is not true to himself, not true to others too, because this person does not value the things which are of value to us. Number 2, the next kind of person. And what bhikshu is one who is more false than a false person? Now this is interesting. Here we have this person who does not keep the precepts. So, but there's someone worse than this person. Imagine that. Okay, who's this person? Here bhikshus, a certain person destroys living beings himself and causes others to destroy living beings. Right? So here he breaks the precepts and he makes others, encourages others to break the precept too. He takes the not given and he causes others to take the not given. He commits sexual misconduct and causes others to commit sexual misconduct. He speaks falsehood and causes others to speak falsehood. And he takes strong drinks, distilled drinks, fermented drinks, which cause heedlessness, and causes others to do the same. This person is said to be more false than the false person, right? So here, doing it yourself is bad already, and if you make others do it, it's even worse, right? So here is a reminder on the social aspect of religion too. So religion is not just a personal practice. It's a very important aspect of Buddhism is personal practice. If you like, you can say the moral conduct aspect, the Sikkhā aspect, the first training is a very social aspect. Mental training is a very personal, individual aspect, if you like. Okay, then comes the happy part, the true individual. Section 4. And what bhikshus is a true individual, Sappurisa. Here bhikshus, a certain person, refrains from destroying living beings, refrains from taking the not given, refrains from committing sexual misconduct, refrains from speaking falsehood, and refrains from taking strong drinks, distilled drinks, fermented drinks, which cause heedlessness. This bhikshus is called a true individual. Right? So here notice the term true individual, Sappurisa, is used very generally. Someone who keeps to the 5 precepts. You need not be enlightened, but if you keep to the 5 precepts, you make every effort to do so, you are a true individual. The time when you keep to the precepts, you are a true individual. And what bhikshus is called one who is more true than a true individual. Here bhikshus, a certain person refrains from destroying living beings and causes others to refrain from destroying living beings. Right? So here you respect life and you encourage other people also to respect life, right? To be kind to others, to be kind to animals and so on. Now for those of you who love pets, you notice if you take good care of your pets, they start behaving like humans. In many ways they're watching you, they're living with you, your cats, your dogs especially. They are learning from you. So they become more human in that sense. And if we live in karma and rebirth, if these beautiful beings behave like humans, when they die, that mind which is almost human, they become humans in the next life, maybe even devas. There are many stories in the suttas where animals, especially those close to the Buddha, when they die, they are reborn in the heavens. Not very high heavens, but much higher than the human realm. They are born in the especially toward things of heaven, for example. Right? So this is one way we can help other beings move along to be happier. Okay? Next, the one who is more true than the true individual refrains from taking the not given and causes others to refrain from taking the not given. Right? So in other words here, practicing generosity. Right? Not taking the not given, not taking what's not ours, and also practicing generosity. In other words, giving. Giving is an appreciation of the being to others. Some people are less fortunate, and when they are given with dignity, so that they can be more creative and helpful in bringing learning and happiness and beauty to the world. It's a wonderful thing. Or simply helping them because they need the basic supports, so that their genius and their creativity can flower rightly and fully. Number 3, the one who is more true than the true individual refrains from committing sexual misconduct and causes others to refrain from committing sexual misconduct. Respecting the other person's person, respecting even your spouse, your partner, your friends, and people in general. In other words, here we learn to show love to others. Now imagine the worst case scenario where sexuality is so open and there's no law, no rule. Then you find that it becomes such a day-to-day thing and it becomes boring. Or we become animal-like. We become predators. Then you find we'll never be happy. We're always looking for something more, and there's no end to it. And that's when we stop being human. So here is where you might say sexuality is like spices that we use in cooking. You don't put too much spice, it's going to spoil your food. Put just enough in the right combination and you find you got really beautiful, healthy food. So sexuality also can be seen in that way. And another important part, of course, sexuality also brings life into this world. So it is a faculty that we have which needs to be respected, because we create new beings. We want this occasion of creation to be filled with love, and this creation, this new being to be born, comes into being with love and joy. And that would be truly wonderful. Now the 4th point is that the one more true than a true individual refrains from speaking falsehood, and it causes others to refrain from speaking falsehood. In other words, to practice telling the truth. Because here, again, a lot of wisdom is needed. The truth is told in a way which is beneficial at the right time, and of course, wisely so. We don't, to tell the truth doesn't mean we say anything, even though it is very painful at the wrong time. And here, there are some truths which are not useful. So this is where we communicate, we discuss truths which are useful, in other words, which bring happiness, which bring progress, especially spiritual progress. So this is where Buddhist spirituality is quite clear that this is the kind of teaching we want that brings us personal development and spiritual development. A healthy mind in a healthy body, so that we can progress to truly be happy inwardly and awaken to Nirvana. And finally, number 5, the one who is more wise than the one who is more true than the true individual refrains from taking all the strong drinks, addictives, and also causes others not to do so. Here I would say it's not just drinks but also drugs. I would include even like playing computer games or getting caught up with social networking and so on, which can be addictive. So in other words, this is where we learn to be human and communicate humanly, tete-a-tete, face-to-face, in a very human way, and with a clear mind, in other words. So to be addicted means we are caught up in this rut, in this loop, and we can never get enough of it. So in that sense, is not fun at all. But more important than that, this idea of not getting drunk or drugged is to keep the mind calm and clear in preparation for meditation or mental development. So the precepts help us in that direction. So there you are. We have these are the 5 practices which of someone who is more true than the true individual. So here again, let us remember these points, right? So the true individual is one who keeps to the 5 precepts. The one who is more true than the true individual encourages others also to do so, to practice keeping the precepts and the positive virtues related to the 5 precepts. So here, in other words, we don't merely practice the Dharma as a very private, personal thing. We also try to inspire others by our action, to show them that we are happy, and others also would like to be happy like us. And at the right time, we encourage them, we talk to them, inspire them to practice these precepts which the Buddha has taught us. So now we'll close this study with a short reflection. Buddhism begins with the body. We have to understand the nature of our body, which is made of various parts, the 4 elements, the 5 senses and so on, and they are all impermanent. And yet, when we keep them right and pure and clear, they become wonderful tools for good health, so that we can focus, be diligent in our effort to study the Dharma, and be truly happy and joyful in that way. Then we have the mind, which is this wonderful mirror and lens through which we see the world and understand ourselves better. And this mind also should be made calm and clear, because both body and mind here are the vehicles to awakening. Reflecting in these ways, wonderful good karma, better power such good karma, may we be inspired, have the courage to aspire to attain at least stream winning in this life itself. By the same token, and by all the goodness we have done, by the power of the 3 jewels, let us send out our loving kindness to all our loved ones, our friends and relatives, and to those who are seeking the Dharma. And also, let us send out our loving kindness to all those people who are struggling with themselves, who have difficulties knowing the Dharma. May they see the Dharma in this life itself. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.